Hi, and welcome back to the second part of our Kingston class ship Blender build. We're going to carry on building the hull of the ship. So let's start by going into edit mode and let's look at the side view by pressing 3. Let's press Shift A and add another plane. Let's tab into edit mode and now we'll RY90 so we've got the plane facing the right way. We'll make sure that snapping's in edge mode and then we'll turn on snapping. We'll make sure that edges are selected. We'll take this first edge and let's grab it in the Z and align it with the deck. We'll switch snapping to vertex mode and let's zoom in a little bit. We'll grab this edge and we'll grab it in the Y and we'll align it with the very foremost point on the hull. Now we'll take this edge and we'll align it with this vertex here. Let's take snapping off, we'll grab the top edge and let's bring it down a wee bit. That should do it. Now we'll turn snapping back on. We'll change this to vertex select. We'll take this top point, grab it in the Z and snap it to this point. Now we'll Alt R to add a loop cut and we'll move it along to roughly align it with this point on the hull. We'll repeat this process, Alt R, moving it along until we've got one against each of the points on the hull. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit and we'll change this to edge selection. We'll pick this up and we'll grab it in the Y, GY, until it snaps to each of these vertices. We'll carry on for each of these new loop cuts that we added. That's looking perfect. So now when we rotate this view, we'll see that it's currently down the centre line. So now we're going to grab these in the X and align them with the edge of the deck. We'll start by going back to vertex selection. We'll pick the first point, GX, and snap it to this point here. We'll carry on with this next point, and now we'll move along. We'll change the selection to edge selection and we'll pick up this edge here, GX, and snap it. GX, snap. We'll work our way along, snapping again. We'll just move along a little bit, snap that in, and we'll work our way right along. And then the last one. So now we're going to tab back into object mode and we're going to add a modifier. We're going to add the Solidify modifier and we're going to tick to make sure that even thickness is on. We'll change the thickness to around 0.003. And let's have a little visual inspection. Okay, I think we'll change it to 0.004 and that's okay, we'll apply that. Okay, so we've got the kind of basic shape, but obviously this is still fairly vertical. So let's change the vertex selection and we'll grab the first 2 points here. Pressing 3 to side view and we'll GY and we'll pull these forward so that the line extends up at the same angle. We'll repeat this now for the next 2 points. GY, pulling it, doesn't have to be exact, and we'll carry along for each of the remaining points. Now we're going to press Ctrl 1 so that we're looking along the Y-axis, but from the front this time. We're going to repeat what we've done the last time, but this time we're going to GY, and again we're going to line this up so that the edge extends along the same angle. We'll go along and we'll repeat that for each of these points. We'll change the viewport shading to solid mode, and let's just have a little rotate just so that we can see what this looks like, which I think it's looking pretty good. Now that we're happy with that, let's go to our modifiers and add the mirror modifier. Excellent. Okay, so there's one final thing that we'll have to do now, so let's change this to object mode, and we'll make sure that we select this, and let's right click and shade smooth, and of course we'll change that to auto smooth. We'll keep the angle at 30. Looking good. Okay, so let's change to the wire view again. We'll take off X-ray, and let's press 3 so that we're looking side on to the hull again. Now let's focus in on the quarterdeck. So we'll Shift A, we'll add another reference image, and it's going to be page 2. And we'll put X-ray back on actually. We'll do the usual transparency thing, and we're going to RX, and we're going to rotate this so that this this part is kind of leveled up here, just roughly, just now. GY, and we'll grab it in the Y-axis and line it up here with a quarterdeck. Just fine tune that using the shift key again, so GY and then shift, and then we're going to GZ, and we're going to lift this up so that it's lining up with the hull. and this is going to give us the height for the gunnels at the quarterdeck. So Shift A again, and we're going to add another plane, and then we'll tab back into edit mode, then RY 90 so it's facing the right way. We'll zoom in just a wee bit. So let's make sure we're snapping to edge, and we'll turn snapping back on. We're on edge selection, we'll start with the bottom, GZ, bring it up so that it's on the quarterdeck level. We'll take this edge in GY so that it's aligned with the transom. Then we'll turn this to vertex mode, grab this edge, GY, and line it up with this point here. We'll take the top, we'll take snapping off of course, we'll take the top and we'll GZ, and we'll make sure that this lines up with a reference image. Let's hide the reference image just now. And let's look at the snapping. Actually, we'll keep this at vertex and we'll turn in snapping on. We're on edge select, so we'll take this rear edge and GX and line it up with the corner. And we'll take this one, GX, line it up with the edge of the hull. Now we'll add a modifier, solidify, make sure it's a even thickness, and we'll change this to 0.004. And let's hide that for just now. We'll press 3 now to look at the side view, and we're going to repeat this process again, but for the port side. So in object mode, Shift A, add a plane, edit mode, RY 90, change snapping to edge. We'll make sure we're on edge selection, grab this edge, GZ, so we're in line with the quarterdeck. Now we'll turn this one back on just as a reference. We'll take the top edge, GZ so it's in line with that. We'll hide it again. Take this edge and that's it, GY, line it up with the back of the ship. And then we'll take it. It's a little bit difficult to pick up, but not quite. We'll take this one and then we'll turn snapping off, and we'll GY to about here. So let's turn this reference image back on again, and we'll select that in object mode. We'll turn on snapping, and we'll GZ so that it snaps just to the top of the quarterdeck. Now we'll select the object that we're working on and tab to edit mode. And let's change to vertex, and we'll start with this one. We'll GX, we'll take this edge, GX, and line up with the corner of the ship again. And we'll change this to edge mode, and we'll pick up this edge and GX and line it up with the edge of the deck. And actually that's nicely lined up. Take snapping off and just a little bit of fine tuning. Then snapping on, GX, back to the edge of the deck again. Perfect. Now back to object mode, add a modifier, solidify, even thickness, and change the thickness manually to 0.004. We'll add a negative here so that the thickness goes inboard, and actually we'll just have a wee look that it is going inside. Yeah, so let's apply that, and let's unhide that first one, and we'll apply that one too. Okay, let's hide the reference image, and let's have a look now. We'll put the place, well, we'll change the viewport to solid. And let's rename some of these parts actually, just for a little bit of good housekeeping. Okay, I think that'll do us now for part 2, but please check again very soon for the next part of this Blender build. Thank you for watching, and if you're enjoying this series, please remember to subscribe.